Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in Real Talk with New Order National Human Rights Organization. This is your national spokesperson, Leonard Jones. It's a pleasure to serve New Order National Human Rights Organization. For my man, CEO and founder, Mr. Gerald Rose, big shout out to everything that you always do in the community and for giving us a great vision and objectives to pursue, fighting for the people all over the United States that are in need. New Order is an awesome organization that I have had a pleasure to be the spokesperson for some time now. And shout out to our VP, our awesome staff, Chief of Staff, Mr. John Drummond, and all those folks that make this organization available to the community. What we do is not only help folks with civil rights issues, which is the reason why we're a human rights organization. We believe that everyone should definitely have access to food, clothing, and shelter, and we do everything we can to help folks out. Big shout out to the Coco Diva herself, our vice president, who is always on the job, even right now, making sure that we get various supplies and resources to people in need. And that's what it's all about. Our motto with New Order is it's not I, it's we, because it takes all of us to get things done in our community. Uh, Big shout out to all the organizations that are still working. We definitely know that just because COVID-19 and all this other political crap is going on, man, we still have communities in need and people suffering from all types of things. So please, if you can, chip in with donations or what have you to various organizations that may be picking up clothing or providing food for the needy and things of that nature. We can't stop doing what we normally would do each and every day of the year just because the season changes. There's a lot going on that we need to be aware of. I'm always pushing people to make sure that you're registered to vote, especially here in the state of Georgia. Georgia, you see what's playing out here in on TV each and every day. We got to get us a we got to get a better governor. We just have to. We got to get people in place that are really concerned about all the people in the state of Georgia. Someone concerned about changing all of those things in that system that makes it institutionally racist. And we must also make sure we elect someone who is at least kind to people, at least concerned about innocent men, women, and children who may be disabled, who may be unemployed at this time. We need to make sure that we have people in those seats of power that use the resources and programs available to help people along the way. Not just to help people along the way, but to also encourage entrepreneurship as well as a healthy political environment. Man, the corruption is so thick right now. We see it from the federal, from the state, and even our local governments. And this is what I want all those folks that are interested in protesting and doing what you need to do, standing up, fighting for injustice. The only way you get injustice is become part of the system and participate in dismantling it. You cannot do that from the outside on your own. You have to have some allies. And this is why we need each and everybody who can, who is eligible. Make sure you register to vote. We did such a great turnout here in the primary, even though it was rescheduled, even though it may have a little bit uncomfortable for some to stand in lines. Man, y'all really showed up at the polls. But what is very important is we need you to come out for those runoffs. Those very important runoffs that makes those efforts not in vain. It makes no sense to vote to get your person on the ballot and to get them to that level to not turn out. So please go back to the polls for your runoff elections in your various cities and localities and municipalities around the United States. Big shout out to those folks that are listening overseas as well. We know that DKM Media Group is an awesome platform to be on. Thank you, Brother Raheem Ashame, for giving New Order this spot. Each and every second Tuesday of the month, we will be here starting at 11 o'clock next month. We're coming to you this particular Tuesday because we missed you last week as we extended our other morning shows and adjusted our schedule, but it don't stop. It can't stop. We take a moment of silence for those soldiers, man, who have been fighting for so many years, who finally got an opportunity to lay down their swords and shields. Brother C.T. Vivian, John Lewis, Man, we have lost so many in such a short period of time. Joseph Lowry, individuals whom I had the opportunity to meet, to talk to share with them some desires of my heart and how that plays into this movement that they put their heart into, that they were beaten for, that they were jailed for, all for this movement. We got to get involved, people. We got to get involved at a level that shakes the very root of the system that oppresses us. That is the only way to do it. I hear people talking about reparations and what have you. Man, how you gonna get reparations if you ain't running government? That's what we have to do. That's what we have to do for our children's children. We have to get involved and we have to stay involved and we have to stay connected in this movement. The only way it keeps moving is if we keep moving. We know it's a different age and a different time. Much love, much respect for all of the folks that have been, whose lives have been taken for what we do each and every day by promoting democracy and making sure that people are involved in the process and making sure that you are valuable. Your lives do matter. Black lives have always mattered. And now we want to make sure that people understand that our contributions to society and this great nation cannot continue without us. It is failing right now because you refuse to put people in office who are concerned about basic fundamental rights of all people. Everybody has the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Not just folks with white skin, not just men, not just straight, not just certain religions, but all Americans, guaranteed by that big old thing we call the Constitution. Didn't start off that way, man. It took lots of amendments, a lot of bloodshed, and even a war to make these states come together. And even right now, it seems as if we're about to fracture and fall apart because of the poor leadership. Y'all good people let bad people beat you to the polls. The electorate is a corrupt system right now. You can't trust it. It is no more viable. But we have to guard ourselves against it. We have to have a strategy. It's okay to be upset, to have this rage, to be in the streets. But what is not okay is not knowing what to do after the streets. You can't avoid it. It's unavoidable, people. If you want power, you got to get involved in the process. Let's get good people in position. We need good people in position to appoint people. We need good people in position to make sure that our children are protected when they go to school. Imagine that since the last time I talked to you, Real Talk came to you. We have people who wanted to rush children straight into this virus. What discussions could you possibly be having at this point about sending children back to school? Yes, let's use the technology that we have. Let's use all the efficiencies provided by modern technology, such as virtual classrooms, things that have been growing in popularity now for the last 10 to 20 years. This should have been already set up for such a situation like this that we would be able to easily convert to this virtual system. I'd like to give a shout out to the Newton County School System for doing such an awesome job in providing these resources and making sure that each people have input in the level and interaction that they want their child to have in this upcoming school year, above and beyond what all the bad information was. Shout out to those school systems giving an options, and kudos to those who have already let folks know. Yes, we will go return to school, but it will be 100% virtual. Do whatever is needed to make sure that those children who are disenfranchised have access to the tools and materials necessary to participate in this virtual process. Let's use what we have and how far we come to make things available, to make resources available to the least of these that may or may not have the money to run out and buy a brand new Apple computer and all these various things. School systems that have been funded by our taxpaying dollars. At the minimum, they should be at least providing you with hotspots and laptops. You should have access to online materials through the various platforms, or maybe you may be on Infinite Campus or Canvas or things, those tools that have been purchased by your education system for you to use in times like this, to stay in the communication with your local public administration as it relates to education. We would like to definitely congratulate Nikema Williams for taking the interim position and being appointed to that position vacated by our departed brother, John Lewis, who served all of us so well all his life. All his life. He was about fairness and equality for all people. Man, that's what's the best thing about seeing those type of African Americans and being able to take these positions, not just in the political world, but also in the business world. That's power. Your power is in your participation. You too can be governor. We've already proven that you can elect a complete idiot to be president of the United States. So how hard should it be to elect people who mean well, who really want to help communities, who really want to see businesses thrive, who really want to see each and every child have an opportunity to their wildest imagination, whether they want to be doctors, lawyers, from whatever background. The best thing about coming together and being such an organization, a community, a state, or what have you, is the ability of like-minded people to get together to pool their resources for the benefits of everyone in society. We have to support radio stations like DKM Media Group. Free speech. They're trying to take that away from you for simply voicing a difference in opinion. Sometimes the difference in the opinion is the truth. And then somehow the truth recently here became anti-Semitic. But I digress. We'll talk about that later. Notice the moves of the enemy so you can plan accordingly and govern yourself accordingly. You may need to take advantage of if your job is offering vocational rehabilitation training. I know people are getting benefits, unemployment benefits. Man, you made that possible. And in order for it to stay possible, you have to vote and you have to keep people in position that are willing to do whatever necessary to support the American public in times like this. Lord knows you all have given so much to make this nation great. It's time for you to demand that that government do the very same for each and every one of you. Man, the phone lines are open right now at 678-381-1973. If you have a comment or you'd like to get in on the conversation, please give us a call at 678-381-1973. Once again, shout out to DKM Radio for giving New Order this platform each and every second Tuesday of the month, starting next month here in August. Thank you for joining us today. Let's move definitely to politics here in Georgia because that's where we are located and our headquarters are for New Order National Human Rights Organization. If there's anything that you need assistance with that maybe you think we can help, whether it be on an issue of discrimination or simply just need some help. Maybe you need some mentoring for young people. Maybe you need clothing. Maybe it's, you don't know how you're going to get groceries for your family. Give us a call. We have a very dedicated staff that is more than willing to assist you the best way they can. Like I say, don't be ashamed if you need help, if you need assistance from mental health in your area or what have you. Contact us so we can try to definitely get you in touch with the right people. And we're really pushing that during this time. Mental health is so important. Your mental wellness through such stressful times is very important. So make sure you develop a positive outlet to talk with someone, reach out to healthcare professionals. And we see so much going on in the media, which is evidence of the mental illness in our communities, not just our communities, but all over. These are very rough times for some people, and we must make sure that folks have access to resources so they don't have to turn to theft and looting and robbing and things of that nature. We know this wasn't us that were really about justice doing these things. We know we have people just taking advantage of the smoke right about now. Be careful of people just going to take advantage of the chaos that has been created. Do understand what's going on in the battles in court when you have a governor trying to sue a mayor that stands up to do what's right here in the city of Atlanta. Prayers and support to Keisha Lance Bottoms, because it's not easy to stand up against the machine to do what's right. And at least you have the courage. You don't show more courage than anybody with a pair of balls have shown in that office in a long time. And it feels good to see the younger generation take control and do this. Atlanta, you voted Mayor Bottoms in. Hold her accountable. Make sure she continues to do the right thing and stands up for justice. If you don't like what she's doing, let her know. Give her an opportunity. Show up to committee meetings. Now you can show up virtually, even, to be a part of the process. Let's take all that energy and pour it into this participative government structure called democracy by showing up to vote. We showed Republicans during the primaries that we were ready for a change. And we got some of these old, ridiculous, racist creeps on the run, worried about being elected. Yeah, I called you creeps. You're crooks and creeps. Not because I say so, because of what you have done, what everybody has seen you done. People supporting pure foolishness and lies. Come on, good people. You say you're good people. You say you want justice. You say you love one another. Let's show the entire world what love and justice looks like right here in the United States of America. The people who should definitely be against oppression is my people, the descendants of slaves, because our heritage tells a completely different picture from some people's heritage. If you owe anybody, you owe us to join in this fight. We had to shout Black Lives Matter and almost make you offended for you to understand that if our lives don't matter, your lives don't matter. It's not that our lives mean more than your lives, but that our lives matter too, which you have constantly looked over in the way you have created institutions and governments and rules and progress and procedures at every level of government. This is why we have to participate at every level. I know a lot of you have lost faith, but it's good that you have lost it because it wasn't on solid ground. You need to get involved and be what's holding this thing together locally, state, and federal. Be aware that the people that you empower often have the power to appoint certain judges to the Supreme Court. Look at what happened when warriors like John Lewis passed away. Thank God the Democrats could come together and stay true to the legacy of John Lewis and his fight for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And we hope that she does very well. We know her work. We know what she has done. So let's get behind her and support her. And when she do something we don't like, let's hold her accountable for it. Big shout out to those who have been participating and keeping the pressure on locally. Don't be a part of the looting and the robbing and all those things that are going on. We need to see a clear difference a clear difference between those of us who are about justice and those that are just about chaos. There are some people who love chaos because that's where they live at each and every day. That's what they're used to. They wild and they unorganized. And at any given time, and any way the wind blows, their emotions could change. So let's bring some order and some decency back to the fight that our ancestors started. It ain't about just running out here talking about what you won't do. It's more than running down here and being mad and screaming and hollering and shouting. Take control of your government. The way to do that is through the elective process. Now I know you all love your very artistic, how do I say, artistic presentations of oppression. That's great. Try to sell it to Netflix. But you got to get in those seats of power all around this nation. If there are black kids in schools anywhere in this nation, there ought to be black people on that school board. That's how it has to work. Black people, you can't just say, "Oh, we gonna put our buddy in and hope he does good." No, you're not. You need to put him in there and hold him accountable to an agenda that works for your community. You don't just put him in that position so he can walk around with a badge on and say he's been to a meeting. He need to be proposing legislation. He need to be at every vote. He don't need to be sitting out. He need to be talking to you, talking about what's needed in your community, to make sure that he's always in touch. And at every meeting, he knows what those whom he or she represents needs in that community. We have never gotten anywhere without fighting. We have never gotten anywhere without being consistent. And yes, the strategy has changed. Let's all get on board with organizations like New Order, NAACP, all of our legacy organizations. Shout out to Black Lives Matter. Shout out to every organization that is about progress for all of us. We are against everything that hampers progress, that gives people the freedom to choose education, freedom to choose religion, freedom to even choose their political parties. It's about the freedom to choose. It's about making sure that everybody has equal access to opportunities, to make sure that everyone has access to equal justice. We need people sitting in those seats that are willing to say, without any type of bias toward color, religion, creed, right is right and wrong is wrong. Regardless of how much money you put in the bank, if you murder somebody, guess what? Same as anybody a bum on the street murdering somebody. This disparity in justice has to end. And it's happening because you have allowed thieves in the temple. They have desecrated everything that we thought was America, everything that we thought we were about, the unity that we thought we were about. We got a president. Matter of fact, you got folks now that don't even want the American citizens to even come to their countries. Has there ever been a time such as these where folks don't welcome American tourism? Something is drastically wrong. And if you cannot see the difference, brother, you must be still asleep, or you just simply don't care. If you need any assistance, 1-800-346-5138. You can contact New Order National Human Rights Organization. We have a dedicated staff that is willing to sit and try to find out if there's anything that we can do to assist you and support you in your efforts. If you have issues even with criminal justice in your area, give us a call. We have a process and everything that you go through. We vet you to make sure that you understand that we're here to help you and support you in getting justice. Because that's what we want for each and every one. We need to be consistent in how we apply justice. I don't believe anybody can be as just as the people who have been oppressed the most. We have seen how terrible America can be. So why shouldn't we change it? It is our responsibility to make that happen. We can't sit back and hope somebody else do it. We need matter of fact, we don't need just 8 years of continuous progress under a president and leadership at various levels of government that are about progress. We need to be able to sustain that momentum. Aren't you tired of being plunged into recession after recession? And then what happens? Along comes a regime change, and then the candidates who are really about people come to do things for people, and we start to rebuild the economy. We should have continued that from the previous administration. Imagine how much further along we would be, how less COVID-19 would have affected the American public. Think about leadership when Ebola hit the United States. Awareness, problem solving, boom, system on that issue to protect American citizens all over the United States. Not just to protect American citizens, but to have an organization that would go overseas to assist other people battling the disease. This current administration that you allowed to have power is against all that. So what is a United Nations without America? What is a World Health Organization? Come on, man. We were supposed to be the champion for human rights. Now I can't even explain to you how disgusted I am having been in the military with what is going on right now. Peace and love and protection to those brothers and sisters who wear the uniform, who use it as a way to provide for their families, who are probably being given orders and directions that really leave them feeling some type of way. Having been in the military and understanding the UCMJ, we know what you can and cannot say. People don't even really understand that when you become a serviceman in the United States of America, you are no longer a civilian. And you sacrifice your life for what? To take orders to kill innocent men, women, and children on your own soil? Private police to do what? A select few of individuals that storm into cities and accost and assault American citizens with more than enough immunity to do whatever they would like to you. This is not a fantasy. This is not something in a book. It's happened in Portland, Oregon, just a couple days ago. People who don't care to identify themselves with the best in military equipment just picking and choosing who they assault, all under the leadership of one man. America, you should have had a plan B for this. Justice starts with us demanding that each and everybody in this process are doing the right thing. We need organizations to be supported. The only way that you get people say, well, how do I get organized? Join an organization. If there isn't an organization in your area and there's something or an issue that needs to be addressed, join in the efforts. If there is no effort, you start the effort. It's everybody's responsibility. We need to attack this system from every advantage that we have. from the foot soldiers on the street all the way under these domes of these state capitals. There need to be people in there speaking truth to power. Stop hiding the names of the people whom are doing the worst to our people out here. Expose them. Blow the whistle on them. I heard your president we will be resuming some updates. Trust me, his updates are going to be all about here. Here's what I got to sell you. Look what I did. I've done it faster and better than everybody else in history-breaking time. No other president, and I digress, especially that black one, has done it. That's kind of messy. Everything's going to be all right. Everything's going back to normal because guess what? Guess what I did? We got you a vaccine. Pretty soon that's going to be out popping and rolling. Everything's going to be back to normal. Everything's going to be good. Back to business. The devil is a liar. He's lied several times to you before. It's good to see people finally standing up and say, you know what? If I don't take a stand, I do believe this joker is trying to kill everybody. Look at Georgia. We got a governor that changed his mind like he changed draws. Hopefully y'all changing y'all draws regularly. And in his weakness, all he can do is try to sue Mayor Bottoms. We know why you suing her, because she's right. We know why you suing her, because you can't believe that somebody has the audacity to stand against your foolishness. Why you say one thing and do another. Who do you believe? The person that tells you you don't need a mask, wearing a mask? Think about it, people. What happened to your common sense? COVID ain't got your common sense, do it? We've seen that some of y'all don't even care nothing about COVID, and that's why these numbers keep going up. Man, come on, we got to try to prevent this. Prevention has always been the first line of defense against any type of disease or pathogen. So definitely make sure you have masks when you're coming and going. Make sure you're washing properly, especially when you're those of us who have lots of different other issues that could be exacerbated by COVID-19. Simple cleanliness, hand sanitizers, masks, social distancing helps prevent this thing. It's about prevention. It's about being healthy. You rather be healthy and alive or popular and dead. It's up to you. We've had these issues before. Remember how many people AIDS has killed? Guess what? You might want to protect yourself. You just might want to protect yourself. You just may want to protect yourself from all those things that seek to shorten your life, make your life worse, or oppress you. This is not about what somebody else is going to do. It's about what we're going to do. If you have any comments, man, please give us a call, 678-381-1973. We at DKM Radio. You can go to www.dkmmediagroup.com. Man, you will not believe what you can do on this radio station. You can advertise your products. I mean, he has a great opportunity coming up for individuals who have small businesses that they want to get the word out to. Man, this is a great time to have a virtual presence for your organization or your business. You can get in touch with www.DKM Media Group also, who provides access to very low cost commercialing for your business or organization. Do that which promotes a positive future for whatever it is you're trying to do. Man, prayers and blessings to all of those people returning or going to college for the first time. Man, this has been a trying time for you all. All you knew was, man, graduation, having a good time and doing this, that, and the other. And then you're hit with COVID-19. Big shout out to all those public administrators who have been trying to maintain as things as normal as they can by making sure these students still have opportunity to highlight their successes, to let folks know where they're going, their intentions, so we can see the dreams and the visions of those young people who really want to change the world, who are not ashamed to stand up for everybody, regardless of religion, creed, color, sexual orientation, or whatever. Those young people with good hearts who believe in equality. Man, I'm just so impressed by our young white brothers and sisters who are allies, who shouting Black Lives Matter louder than I have ever heard it being shouted before. We definitely appreciate these young people doing the right thing, regardless of who their parents and grandparents are. They still believe in doing the right thing. They still are. There are young white brothers and sisters that are even fighting for reparations. But yet you got some black people arguing about it. Come on, man. You're on the wrong side. Put away the petty differences for the big picture. Let's go after strategically those things that oppress us, regardless of how many degrees we got or how much money you have, what side of town you live on. Let's put all that little pettiness aside. That foolishness between Will and Jada, it don't even matter. It ain't about nothing. When we have still sex trafficking, human sex trafficking, selling your children into sexual slavery, and you sitting by singing and dancing to a new song about some weird relationship, twist, tryst, triangle, whatever. Handle business first. I was explaining to another group over the radio how the 70s and 80s was so great is because this came after a huge fight, man. Civil rights legislation and things like that kicked in. I mean, prosperity started happening despite what others were still trying to do in the Confederacy right down here in the South, still not letting it go. They want you to let it go, but they want to keep it going. Ain't that crazy? You forget about it, but we want to keep what we was doing. Really? You better add in the fact that this movement may not be nonviolent. So we have to understand we need allies all over the place. We need people working for progress, pushing the front wherever it is. Shout out to those black moms who stood in the way of these people trying to kill protesters. Man, let's stop fighting. Let's strengthen one another's ability to fight wherever we're at, whether we're in workplaces. You need to be in your HR, making sure that everybody is being treated fairly. Definitely, if you call yourself a union representative or what have you, you need to be in there making sure you're fighting for workers' rights. I hear that word Marxism being thrown around a lot as if that is an insult. Marxism puts everything into perspective, devoid of propaganda. Marxism it has everything in a certain lane, whereas it is essential. Labor needs to understand that you will always be at the mercy of producers. So be careful who you sell your soul to. Be careful who you invest in. Everybody that have pension plans and deal in the stock market and all of these things, know what you're contributing your money to. Know where your money is going. A great boycott is one that is targeted and that is specific. Where there are few alternatives, that's if you want to be successful. There are so many advances and so many things that are going on right now, man, that we can't bring all of them up, but we definitely want to highlight those things that we feel that is most necessary. Shout out to those who are always providing and supporting New Order National Human Rights Organization. If you would like to become a member of the organization, definitely reach out to us. You can go to our website at www.nonhro.org. Definitely go check us out on our Facebook page as well. Give us a call at 1-800-346-5138 if you need help with something. Let's all make sure that we are registered to vote. And some of you may have run out and don't have a deadline to vote, and maybe runoffs and things like that may be going on in your particular state. But I believe you have until October the 1st to register for the federal election. Let's show up, people. Let's show up and let that popular vote, let there be such a gap where it should be uncontested. We can't go in there with 1 million votes less. We need to go in there and overwhelmingly vote, because we do know that whatever's happened, there will be a challenge to the results. So let's prepare ourselves for that. Let's prepare ourselves for that on all fronts. I bet you watch the news and then you'll know why you need the right to bear arms. That's the whole purpose. So as you sit by and watch Congress continue to vote more money into the oppressor's hands that they can use against you, reconsider what it is. What can you do to get in the way? How you gonna stand up? I wasn't sending my child back to school anyway because I got better sense than that. You know what it's like to expose your children to those types of things, even when they first go to school. What happens when you first send your child to school? They go to school and then they start contracting other pathogens and things like that, and they come home with the colds, the starting noses, and everything. Well, this is the same thing that will happen to your children when you send them back to school in the midst of COVID. So be safe. Be definitely aware of your surroundings. If you do not currently know what it is or who the candidates may be, take time to go do that today. I know in Georgia we have a website. You can go to www.sos.ga.gov to find out and go to my voter page. Secretary of State, Georgia. You can go to my voter page. You can not only find out what districts and things like that you're in. You can also find out who is currently representing you. And you also can go and find out who's on the ballot. You may, if you need, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to make it to the polls for the federal election, make sure that you are requesting absentee ballots to vote. If you have things related to name changes or what have you that need to get done, make sure you're doing that in enough time so there isn't a problem at the polls. And if there is a problem at the polls, don't leave without a provisional ballot. If there's an issue with your ID or what have you, let's get that corrected as soon as possible. Let's make sure we know where we're supposed to vote at. Let's plan with our employers ahead of time on the time that we will be allowed to vote, and that you can get additional time if needed. Maybe you need to readjust some schedules or what have you. So be very aware of that. Make sure you have your mask, your gloves, and things of that nature. Make sure, for everybody else's sake, when you go out in stores and things, give people that courtesy, please, of that 6 feet social distancing. We don't need any more people to die. We got a caller on the line. Caller? Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Hey, what's up, Elvis? What's going on? How
Hey,
you doing, man?
that sounds like my man Kurt.
Yeah, all day, man. Congratulations on the show, man. I didn't know you had a show.
Well, man, we know
Oh
we
man,
switched it up. We switched it up this time, and we coming to folks today because we missed y'all. But we gonna be on the second Tuesdays at 11 o'clock each month. Real Talk with New Order.
oh, okay. I'm gonna have to put that on my mental Rolodex. Hey, brother, I need you to do me a favor, man.
Yes, sir.
I think by doing this favor, you'd be doing a favor to the masses of people that's listening to you right now. I hear you talking about, voting and everything, brother, and it is, you are so on point with, this need to be a landslide vote right here. There needs to be no room. This win needs to not be in the margin of error, because it appears to me, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but every time the voting block appears to even be in the margin of error, these folks steal an election.
Always.
The last presidents that I know of that were now I'm like you. History shows you what you need to see. Behavior shows you what you need to see. So the last 3 electoral college placed presidents, if I'm not mistaken, were Republican.
Mm-hmm.
The Democratic candidate won the popular vote, but it appears that because the popular vote was within the margin of error, then the vote went to the electoral college. Now, I always thought that the electoral college's sole purpose was to determine when the voter tallies was too close to call. So can you please, at some point, explain to the listeners, including myself, what is the purpose of the electoral college and how does it work? 1 and 2, bro, I got a serious problem right now with folks allowing for their minds to be controlled and or inundated with the lie that mail-in voting is going to create this great conundrum of fraud. Because as a military soldier, as a former brown, green, and black OD green uniform wearing soldier, when I was in the military, and if I'm not mistaken, still to this day, all military soldiers vote according to mail-in ballot for those who do vote.
You're exactly right.
Is it safe for me to say that if I'm going to believe that mail-in votes are a level of fraud, or is going to create this level of voter fraud, is it safe for me to say that the United States military is participating in the fraud?
And this brother is, I'm telling you, living in the state of Georgia, our governor was very successful in blocking many, many votes from the Secretary of State position, committing probably the biggest fraud in voting here in the state of Georgia. Now, we know what Georgia is. We know Georgia is the home of the poll taxes and everything else. And now we have votes, not even a Secretary of State holding up votes. So in this electoral college issue, this is what people do not understand. The electoral college is set up. It should be a cross section of America that steps in to settle votes that are within a certain threshold. Say, for instance, you got to win by more than a certain number of votes, like with these runoffs in the primaries. Now, you may beat everybody. You may have 40% of the vote. And then let's say we got some other people with 10, 15, 20. Now, you would say to yourself, that person wins that election. But in actuality, the threshold must be 51%, I believe. So it's not a winner-take-all system at all. It's not only do you have to have more votes, you have to have enough votes to actually win the election, which is the reason why we have at the state level these primary systems and things of that nature. And you have seen folks standing so far out in front of competition, but still, whenever they don't meet a certain threshold, they got to go back to the polls what's one of the weak points of voter turnout is returning to the polls in a runoff. And you know from being where you from, you're right in right there with the federal government. You know, that DMV area. And you see what's going on at those various levels of government. And like you mentioned before, trust me, the fix will be in where it's less likely to be challenged. So trust me, folks having to go back to the polls is part of a system that's set up to give someone the upper hand. And since we ain't been having the upper hand, guess who I believe it's for, brother? Because just like you mentioned, that popular vote must be overwhelming to really help people to understand. And not every state that send electors bind their electors to vote according to the popular vote in their state. Now, you want to see some shiggity. Let's pick Michigan. Just pick it. And let's say we got a couple of electors in Michigan. Now, the voters in Michigan voted for the Democratic candidate. You follow me?
I'm with you.
And the electors go in there and vote Republican because their state does not make it mandatory that they have to vote according to the popular election result. This is what that system and that strategy is about on the other side, is removing you've heard election security before, right? This is all part of election security. Like you said, even the government. Where is the group in the government in the branches of the military that makes sure that every soldier's vote is actually counted? Maybe no one has asked that question. I'll invite somebody that works in that field who may have that as a MO. I don't even know if that's an MOS, Kurt, in the Army, of people concerned about making sure that soldiers all are afforded the opportunity and the right to vote, and to make sure that their votes are actually delivered to where they're supposed to go. We're not going to act like there hasn't been stories in state elections or what have you where they don't found ballots in people's garages that we put in charge of elections. School board level and everything.
I don't remember it being an MOS for the post office. I do remember it being. Do you remember it?
You going out, brother Kurt? In and out.
My truck.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
I do remember mail call being basically an additional duty that came down from battalion, basically.
Right.
But I don't remember, and I'm hoping somebody else call in that that maybe was a mail carrier when we was in the military. But I don't remember the military even having an MOS for that.
And also,
let's
invite some folks. And if you find out, Kurt, share it with us. Let's get some active duty people to let us know what it is like in the military and how they promote and make sure and encourage soldiers to vote. Because I have friends who are active duty, they're very, reluctant to voice opinions about certain things,
right,
or what have you, because of, certain jobs that they may have. And I do understand that. But we need someone to, as a matter of fact, to talk about what does the military do to encourage soldiers to vote, if they do.
I don't honestly, brother. I don't remember. I don't remember that being encouraged. I remember knowing that it was election time, and I made sure that I went and cast a ballot, or I made sure that I did a mail-in ballot, because
Right.
when I think about it now, a couple times I was actually in the field, so we had to do mail-in ballots. But I also remember, I can't quite remember if it was the Bush v. Gore, or if it was the uh, Trump v. Hillary, Trump v. Clinton. That I don't know if you remember this, but there was an issue. It might have been Bush v. Gore. There was an issue with the soldiers' ballots. All of their mail-in ballots were not counted,
Right.
or it was something to that effect that the military ballots were not counted, and then when they were counted, it was in favor of not the candidate who won. So I'm just as curious as you. I'm going to ask around to some of my friends who ex-military, because you write a lot of military that's
Right.
active duty, who really don't want to talk about that, and you almost don't want them to talk about that because they could be putting themselves in trouble.
And there's a lot of things coming to light about how the actual military functions. You know, unless you're inside or you have family, a lot of people may not understand that once you are enlisted in the military, you're no longer a civilian. So at certain points, you know, you do not
Right,
have the same rights as civilians have. And one of these things that we
right,
have to we're recently addressing that I want people to understand that has been an issue, and I've worked with these cases as well of sexual harassment and assault in the military. And the reason why that is kept
oh,
under wraps is because how the law is written, where it's not an elected official who sees that these things are brought to light. It's a post commander that has complete authority over
absolutely,
everything on the base. So they can pretty
absolutely,
much make
absolutely.
they can make pretty much appropriate, I would say, their authority how they see fit if they are of a certain mindset. So we would hope that those post commanders and things of that nature, if you listening right now, if you don't have an effort, make an effort. These folks are put in harm's way each and every day. Folks like Kurt, like I call Kurt a real soldier. He out in combat. It could have ended a completely different other way. If anybody should have a secure vote, it should be that soldier. And thanks for calling in, Kurt, man. I appreciate it. But
Yeah,
folks,
absolutely.
we want to make sure that y'all understand, get in the game. The way you get in the game, the first ticket is voter registration. Register to vote. Get yourself educated. Join in some of these virtual town hall meetings. Man, right now you can go on to a virtual town meeting just almost every day when it comes to talking about racial inequality and injustice and what do we do and how do we go forward. Stay on Facebook. You'll see that I'll often post to our site as well things that you can register for and click on to become a part of these various community conversations. Shout out to the New Order National Human Rights Organization staff. They do an awesome job each and every day all over the United States. Thank you for those new members who have come in, and with those paid memberships, definitely help us to continue doing what we're doing. And also, I want you to go log in to www.dkmmediagroup.com. I want to definitely give out their cash app right now, $ DKM Radio, because in order for us to keep things going, we have to fund them. We have to make sure these folks have the resources that are fighting this fight and maintaining these airwaves and allowing messages like mine to be broadcast. Nick Cannon, we stand with you, brother. You got a right to say what you right to say, especially when it's true. It's a shame that after all these years and all this history behind us, now somehow the truth is anti-Semitic. Big shout out to those who believe in the peace that we all need. Justice for all of us, not just a few. Thanks you again, Raheem, for allowing us to occupy this spot. Join us again. Starting in August, we will restart every second Tuesday at 11 o'clock p.m. We invite you to be a part of the conversation. If there's things you want to talk about, or if there's issues that you may have, definitely go to our webpage, Real Talk with No Order. Let us know what you want to talk about. If you got issues going on, you can definitely be a guest on this show. Definitely get in touch with us at 1-800-346-5138 so we can schedule you to be a guest on one of those second Tuesdays. We appreciate all the listeners around the United States, all of those who have started those new order organizations in your area. Man, recruit people to help you in your fight. You can't do it by yourself. This is not for the cameras, because even when those cameras go off, we still have to be fighting. Once again, thank you all for your time. This is your national spokesperson, Leonard Jones, with New Order National Human Rights Organization. It's not I, but we. Peace.